Hello, friends. This is Nima. Today, I want to show you how to create your own stamps. For this particular project, we're going to be using a foam, the craft foam, the one that comes with the tape. If you don't have that one, you can use the regular one. And I'll be using this type of dies that they have the double edge, so they cut on the top and the bottom. But if not, you can use the regular circles, put them together, and create your own ring with the craft foam. So this case in here, I used the heart and I used the circle and I cut two of the hearts and one of the circles and put in the pieces that I cut on different stamping blocks. The circle one, I'm going to put it in a piece of acrylic, so you don't need to have a stamping block, anything that it can hold it. And if you don't have the one with the glue on the back, you can use tape, double face tape to hold it in place. Glue is something that I don't recommend because it will be hard to remove it. As I'm putting the pieces in here that I have two hearts, I remember I can manipulate that craft foam a little bit and give it a different shape. So that's what I'm doing for that second one. So we have a heart that is coming from the same die, but it's gonna look a little different just to give it a different look to this in here. So in this case, I ended up having five different dyes that I'm gonna use for my cards. I'm gonna be using watercolor. You can use other things, other type of paints. These are kind of disposable. I mean, you can reuse them, but it didn't cost that much to create these templates in here, so you can use whatever paint you want. I'm using watercolor and I'll put that plastic on top of my mat just to protect the mat. And the paper that I'm using is watercolor paper. You can also use the regular cardstock. It will just absorb a little different. I'm adding the paint to my plastic mat and I'm using hearts. I'm doing a Valentine card. So I'm going to these tones like red, orangey, red, um, purple. And those are the tones that I'm going to use. And in this case, I want to use that mat as the stamping platform. Well, where I'm going to put the ink so I can stamp on my papers directly. I'm adding a little bit of water to my paint so it can stay wet, but I don't want it too wet. And I'm dabbing the stamp on the card. I mean on the paint so I can put it on the card. And I'm letting the paint spread in there. If you're using regular cardstock, you see that it will absorb. In this case, in here, it's just staying a little bit on the surface, and I use my heat gun to get it dry before I stamp the second one. The second one, I'm using the dye that I cut in there, and after I get the paint on the dye, I'm gonna position this in a different angle but going inside of that heart a little bit. I'm gonna end up using probably a little bit of like a three quarters of a little bit of maybe more of that panel that I have in here, and that panel is 4.5 by 6. Again, I'm drying every time that I stamp, and I'm gonna use the next one that I clean with just a rag that I have. You can also stamp in a different paper because there was a lot of ink in there. I just totally forgot. For the next heart, I'm mixing the purple with the other red, so I can get a different tone. I don't want something way too pink purple, and I'm using the same heart that I used above the first one, but I want to put it in a different angle So now I have one that goes straight, now one that it goes to the right, and one that goes to the left. So this is pretty much all the stamping that I'm gonna do to this card. I'm gonna add few other things, like I'm gonna add gold, and I have that artistro um, set that it has different metallic shades in here. I'm gonna add some splashes also, or splatters, with the colors that I use in my card. For this, I'm trying to do the splatters around the area, like that purple will be on the bottom, and then the one that it is in the middle, I'm gonna put those splatters near that area. It's just make it like give you that illusion that when you put the heart, it's splattered in there a little bit. And then I'm gonna add the gold. This gold, metallic gold, is watercolor also, but it is very strong. It's not as translucent as others. So I'm gonna apply just a little bit of the gold around the heart. And in the areas where the heart crossed the other one, I'm just gonna go under, giving you the illusion that the heart is actually under the other one. I'm doing that border on the three hearts, and then I'm gonna do some splatters with the golden as well. I'm adding a little bit to my mat and a little bit of water so I can get it the right consistency, so I can just make the splatter. Again, I don't want to do too much, and I'm just doing some splatters around near each heart in there. And pretty much this is it for that card. For my second card, I'm using the solid stamp. One of the hearts that I had in there, I ended up trimming that one a little bit so it will be slightly smaller, but they're both coming from the inside of the other hearts. And in this case, the ring is going to be gold, but instead of putting the gold on my mat, I mean, I want to keep this gold that lasts a long time. So I'm painting the ring. In that way, I don't have to waste too much of the paint on the mat. So I'm painting the ring, and this is something that you have to do for kind of fast because you want the paint to stay wet when you transfer to the page. If not, you can always spray a little bit of water in there and then make it kind of move around. I dried that gold and I decided to put one heart that goes under the ring. And for that, I'm covering, coating the ring, the part that I know that is gonna cover the heart with wax. And then once I remove the heart, then I'm gonna clean the excess that goes on the ring. I like the heart like that, but if not, you can always um, repaint over, like I'm gonna do with the second one. I try a couple times to get the paint um, in the right position, but then I said, well, I'm just gonna help it a little bit and add some paint. I got a little splash in there, and I said, well, I guess this is time to put some splatters in there because I already put a mark in there. I also added some splatters using the extra gold that I had in my mat. And I mean, that's for the cards. I'm gonna trim this card to the size that I want. And I'm gonna use that leftover paint that I have in there to create the border of the card. This is a mat that I'm going to put under, and I want to make sure that the color that I use matches. And sometimes it's hard to find the perfect cardstock, so I'm using the paint that I have left over in there to create the mat that it will be under my panel. And I just need a little border, and as long as I don't show the white on the corners, I will be fine. So I'm doing the same for the two cards. One will have the reddish color, and then the other one the purplish color in here. And once I do that, that I let them dry, I'm gonna put my cards together. And I'm using an A2 base, and that base, um, on top of the base will be the mat, the card, and the card will have a stamp. The stamps that I'm using are from Gina K, and I'm using one that is very big for the three hearts, and then the other one it broke, but I'm just keeping it together. I'm gonna use my stamping tool, and this stamping tool um, will help to stamp everything if I have to restamp to keep it in position. To stamp, I'm using Versafine Clear, and the color that I'm using is Nocturne because I want that to show really strong. Um, I stamped that one twice just to make sure that it will get an even stamping since it's watercolor paper. Sometimes you have to go more than one time. This one that is Lots of Love, it is such a big and bold stamp, but at the same time, the letters are thin. So I went few times over just to make sure that I get a good impression. And so the hearts in the background, they don't go in over the card. I was very happy with this, and I was gonna put the card together, like the card base, the the background that the mat that I made with the leftover paint, and then on top will be my card. But then as I put it in there, I thought it would need it like a little bit more. But at the same time, I didn't want to add another mat. So I'm using a technique that I always use, just adding my own border with Sharpie. Position the tip of the Sharpie against the paper and roll it down, right? Try to do it one stroke so it doesn't leave any marks. Um, and that's all you need to do, and it creates a little border. And for me, it kind of completes the card in there because it's just the color that I use for the sentiment, for the message. Right? So I'm going to do the same for my other card. Of course, I practice this, practice and practice. Um, if you don't feel like you have too much practice, it's something that you can do um, first before you start doing all your designs. So if you have to do it again, you don't have to waste all your work. So and it had happened to me many times that I'm almost done and then I have to trim a little bit, but that's part of this in here. My cards are almost ready, and I just want to add a little bit of embellishment, and I have few options. I found the diamond dots. I also found one of those punchers in a heart shape, and I cut some in gold. And I have this Trinity stamp. Uh, they're like beads, really like dimensional, and there comes in different sizes. And the shape are hearts. They're clear, but they're gonna absorb the colors of the surrounding areas, and they look really really good. They come in a really, really small one, medium, and I have the three sizes in there, and I want to position them in a way that relate to the main shape that I have in there, the angle shape, the circle shapes. For the other card, I decided to go with the gold hearts that I cut using the the punchers that I found. And I'm just playing with the position. Mm. I'm gonna move that one to the other side. Yeah, it makes more sense to have those hearts on that area. It kind of balances everything and it moves your eyes from top to bottom in the card. Um, to grab the pieces or the embellishment, I'm using that wax pen. That's actually for the diamond dots painting. I found it really cheap and it kind of lasts forever. It's like 12 inches long and you just have to peel those paints. So these are my cards. They came out really good. I'm really happy with them and I hope you like it. Bye.